Never get caught being clueless again. This is unknown protocol. In the last video, we analyzed what would be the most appropriate action if you were in a situation in which everything was completely and perfectly unknown. And we learned that if you were in such a situation, any action would be just as appropriate as any other. Choosing door A would be just as good as choosing door B, so you might as well just flip a coin and let the coin decide for you. Doing the smartest thing that you can think of would be just as good as doing the stupidest thing. So in such a situation, you would just do anything and leave it up to chance. And then I finished off the video by saying that in real life, those situations don't really exist. In real life, you always have hints. In real life, you always have a way to know more about the situation. And in this video, I'm going to cover those ways to go from the unknown to the known, so that if you ever get caught in a situation in which you are completely clueless, you'll know exactly what to do to get a clue. This is unknown protocol. In order to analyze this phenomena, I put myself in a situation in my mind that would emphasize this problem. Now, as I describe this mental experiment, some of you might recognize this feeling and know that this isn't so far-fetched from one's personal experience. So here we go. Imagine yourself alone in a universe all by yourself. It is dark. The world beyond your walls does not exist. It is just you and your fear. The fear that torments you, that paralyzes you. You are afraid to move because everything you do is wrong. With a twitch of your finger, you may dissolve into dust. With a twitch of your nose, you may destroy the whole world. Even not moving, maybe, even that has drastic consequences. So that every second that goes by, you are surprised to not be eternally damned. You're surprised that you still exist. You want to save yourself, but you don't know how. It is unknown. You have no idea what movements will keep you alive. You have no idea what to do in order to keep yourself in peace. So if you are in this situation, now that you're in this situation, what is the most practical thing that you could and should do? Pay attention. Imagine being in this situation, paralyzed. What is the most practical thing you are doing? Because this is actually the first step to the formula. You are paying attention. You are observing. And this is the first step to the unknown protocol. Step 1, observe. Let's continue. Paralyzed in fear, you observe. You observe. You observe your existence, your action or lack thereof, and its effects on the world. Every little thing you do has an effect on the world. You are paralyzed, afraid to move. You stay still. You are even afraid to exist. If you could stop that, you would. But you do anyway, as is your nature. And you observe the consequences of what you are doing. That is the first step. Observe. And as you observe all of this, what are you also doing? This is the second step. You are also evaluating your actions and its consequences. And as you're doing this, you are establishing your new experience and observations into your values, and thus developing a new intent. Step 2. Develop values and intent. For the sake of continuing this scenario, let's say that you've evaluated your actions, which is staying still, and the consequences of those actions, which is nothing happening, and decided that it is good. This decision, this evaluation that it is good, yields the intention to keep it, a new intention, the intention to keep it, the intention to stay still, to keep on staying still. By your evaluation, you've developed an intent. And as you have this new intent, the future inevitably flows, because that's how time works. The future flows into the present. And the next second of your existence forces an action, because you cannot exist without taking an action, whether the action is to stay still or to move. So by virtue of existing, you are already taking an action, whatever that action may be. This is the third step. Step 3, act. In this scenario, your decision to stay still is indeed an action. It's a decision. This is what you do. You're staying still. Once you act, your actions have an effect on the world. Your actions will yield consequences. Consequences which you will observe. This is back to step 1. And so the cycle begins again. Observe, evaluate, which yields an intent, and action, which yields consequences. You observe the consequences. You evaluate what you observe and develop an intent, which will result in your next action, which will yield consequences. Consequences which you will observe and evaluate into a new intent, which will yield an action, which will yield consequences to observe, evaluate, and come up with a new intent, which will yield an action, which will yield consequences, observe, intent, act, observe, intent, act. This is the structure of unknown protocol. This is what you do when you don't know what to do. By making mistakes, you will discover what the right action is, even if it is too late now. The important thing is that now you know. Now you have the knowledge. Now you have an experience that can serve as a reference for your following actions. Even if you're in hell and have no chance of redeeming yourself. Now you're not just a person that might go to hell if they do this or that. Now you're a person that has gone to hell because of a consequence of their actions. And now you know what hell is like, and there's no way of denying it. So, what is the working precept behind unknown protocol? What is this? It is make your mistakes. Learn your lessons. Learn your lessons from your mistakes so that you can make better choices. Keep tripping over the obstacles so that you learn how to walk. Keep running into the walls so that you learn where they are and can make out a sense of the room. Make your mistakes over and over again so that you can get a better sense of the pattern and use that pattern, use that knowledge to make better choices. But wait, there is a huge weakness to this process. This implies that in order for you to gain knowledge, you have to take an action and elapse the consequences of that action for you to be able to observe it. This means that if you want to know if there's a lion behind door A, you have to open it. But what if there is a lion behind door A? What if you do actually go to hell by twitching your finger? Well, at least now you know the consequences of your actions. When you're getting mauled by the lion, at least now you know not to open door A in that particular situation. When you're burning in hell, at least now you know that twitching your finger is a bad idea. But what if I don't want to get eaten by the lion? What if I don't want to go to hell? Is there a way to know the consequences of an action without actually taking the action and elapsing the consequences? Is there a way to learn from your mistakes without actually committing them? Put in other words, is there a way to know what's behind door A without actually opening it? Yes, there is, and I will reveal that in my next video.